All right, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by the Extreme Health Academy that is going to be launching very, very soon. If you guys want to dive deeper into the work that we do here at Extreme Health Radio and get practical information and tutorials and programs and trainings on how to apply a lot of the concepts that we talk about here on the show into your daily life to overcome your health challenges, this is going to be the great place for you to go. I highly recommend checking it out. If you want to learn more about the Academy and everything that it has to offer and get on the early bird waiting list, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/521. And we're also brought to you by our store. Thank you guys so much for visiting our store. Some of the latest products that we've included into our store is the Chili Pad, which is a way to cool your bed down. And this is an awesome product because coming into spring and summer here in Southern California and all over the world, in the Northern Hemisphere, it's going to be very hot in the summer. And this is a great, great way to keep your bed cool and comfortable all year long, no matter what the temperature is. It can even heat up. We've got all kinds of great products in the store too. Everything from PEMF devices to sauna domes. A recent product we've added is the sauna dome from Marcus Freudenman. We've added all kinds of really, really neat and unique products that I think can really help your health. So if you're in the market to buy any kind of health tool or gadget, check out our store and see if we offer it first. And we'll put a link to the store as well as the Academy at extremehealthradio.com/521.
I'm talking to the audience.
No, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So this is your last day before you go back to Australia.
Yep.
And we've done the workshop in Dana Point, Arousing Success.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah?
It was a beautiful group of people. It was really a very mixed group. Mm-hmm. We had doctors, naturopaths, chiropractors, 3 of our students, which are already in the academy program. Mm-hmm. And then, very mixed group, but it was really lovely how everybody worked together and opened up. It was stunning. Lots of hugs, lots of tears.
I liked, I think it was Heidi's passionate plea for, or not plea, but passionate talk at the end about vaccination.
Yeah, exactly.
She was funny. But so you covered primarily PEMF and ozone therapy as well as hyperthermia.
Okay, I think that was really well said.
Yeah.
But completely wrong.
Oh, yeah?
Look, we cover everything that would be used to boost the immune system and to remove the root causes of disease. Mm-hmm. Now, the main root causes are infections, toxicity, and deficiency. Mm-hmm. And that means we need to get into the cells. We need to remove blockages. We open up pathways. And for that, we spoke last time about PMF, and that's one of the easiest forms of opening up those pathways, of removing toxins, of allowing the cells to take up nutrient, to take up oxygen. It's probably the most couch potato friendly treatment which everybody can do.
Easy.
And then we have the other treatment, which we do ozone, which is taking down parasites, pathogens, which is bacteria, fungus, mold, and viral loads. And it also provides the body with incredible energy and oxygen. So the last treatment that we use mostly for patients who have that need to do a bit more. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
They have the motivation to do a bit extra. They do hyperthermia. And just clarifying, not hypothermia, which a lot of people, which is sitting in an ice bucket. Okay. It's hyperthermia. We overheat the body, and that brings then that excess of new white blood cells that are created, and that's fun. You know, like you have a patient coming in, they had chemotherapy, their white blood cell count is down, they probably can't even continue the treatment. Right. Within 2 treatments, you bring that patient back up to full platelet count. Wow. It's a standard conventional treatment that they do in all European clinics. Yeah. And combining that, putting that together is phenomenal. So that's something that we add with all of those patients extra.
So you're saying during the seminar that typically people do a hyperthermia treatment once a week. Is that right? Or that's
Yes.
at least where the studies have shown the greatest impact, right, in people's health. So, so they're just doing it once a week. But the thing that's crazy is that they're, like you said, 3 to 4 hours long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible.
It's a long treatment.
Yeah.
You go into the dome, and it's actually quite a pleasant start. Because you go in and you can snuggle in.
Yeah, I
and
feel good.
You're taken care of. Somebody behind you sits with an ice bucket and with cold drinks and looks after you and talks to you and always pats your hair and
feel good.
mops your face. And so it's really nice.
Yeah.
And then you slowly heat up. And the heating up process with our dome, because we modified the power inlet, so the heaters, we have a stronger heater right over the torso.
Okay.
So we managed to bring a person usually to a fever temperature of 104, which is our turn-off point for the beginning. And that's within 30 to 45 minutes.
30 to 40. And all the while the person's laying down.
All the while the person lays down. So you go to the loop before you go in. Once you go in, you insert your butt plug, your thermometer rectally, not testing in your ears or mouth.
So you must be laying on your stomach.
No, you're laying on your back.
On your back, okay.
But you roll a little bit to the side, insert it, and it's a tiny little catheter that you don't really feel.
Okay.
So you insert that, then you roll, you pull up your pants because you have long john pants on.
Oh, what's the theory behind that? What's the reason behind having clothes on?
When you go naked into the dome, you sweat.
Okay.
And the sweat cools you off. And you sweat more and more, and you cool off more and more.
Oh,
and through that, it's like a normal sauna. That's where it drips off like crazy. Now, if you go into the dome and you have long undies on and socks, and you have long sleeve T-shirt on, then you maintain that water around you, and then it's like steaming a potato a little bit. Like you slowly heat up, and the penetration of the far infrared goes about 2 centimeters deep under the skin. So it's like from all sides, from the back, from the sides, from the top, everywhere you have 2 centimeter penetration.
Okay.
Which brings up the core body temperature because it heats up the blood. So you sweat not from the outside. It's not like going into a hot oven like the Finnish saunas.
Okay.
It's coming from the inside out. You heat from the inside out.
Nice.
So your blood temperature slowly gets up, and through that, the expiration of sweat is so dramatically increased.
Yeah.
Now, in the first stage, when you are in a long john, you get to that 38.5, probably around the 100 mark, and that's where you want to get out. You want to get out. It's enough. It's tough. It's where you then say, like, do I really need that treatment? I think I've done enough. Detox is already fine. And then you have a very short span only of half a degree, where you need to overcome that mental barrier. Your body fights against fever. And it really is, you suppress it. Your heartbeat goes up, your breathing goes up. It's like a panic mode sets in.
Yeah.
But once you've bypassed that moment and you're at 38.5, and you need to probably find some way to calculate that.
Yeah, 38.5. I think we said, isn't it during the seminar it was 100.4?
Yeah, I think.
Is that right?
So if that's the case, and then and listeners, if you don't, please check before you do something.
Yeah.
But you would go up to that temperature, and then all of a sudden you mellow out. And it's like when your body has accepted that fever comes, it's even less stressful as the first part, where you just heat up. And then you just relax into it. And that's when your face is cooled, when you get someone to put you ice-cooled water bucket, towels over
your forehead,
face, forehead, face, throat, like the whole head.
Yeah,
wipes down your hair, mops your face, and so it's like pleasant treatment.
Yeah, you got someone taking care of you. You have someone, looking after you, giving you water, patting you down. That feels good, right? And
usually at that stage, you realize that the fever kicks in, which brings themes up that you want to talk about. And that can be anger issues, that can be resentment issues, that can be frustration things, that there is always something coming up. And impatience, and the very quiet, nice people, they get very bitchy and very angry.
Really?
Because they suppress that part of themselves. And then you have the very outspoken and the very aggressive people. We had blokes in that dome, tattoos right, left, and center, and they looked like so bloody scary. And they started to cry in the dome because the soft side comes out. It's usually what is suppressed is released under fever, and it is a beautiful observation. And then the person who accompanies and checks after the person who goes through the treatment, they can make notes. You spoke about your mum, or you wanted to talk about this, and they just encourage to talk without interfering, without interacting. We have a special training for our supporters because that's really beautiful. If you can help someone to release that tension. Yeah. So as they go through that program and they have hyperthermia and bring it up, then all of a sudden the body kicks in. We pull the plug on the wall at 104. So 100.4.
100.4, yeah.
Exactly. So we pull the plug from the wall. No more heat goes in.
Okay.
But your body has recognized, fever. I can actually have a fever. I'm allowed to have a fever. They supported me to have a fever.
Yeah.
And then your body kicks in on its own. I usually go up to 103, 104 on my own.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you run hot.
Yeah, but it's I have probably latent infections, latent bacteria, latent, gut bacteria, all of that.
Yeah.
So my body realizes, okay, I can use this means now to break them down, to kill them. And that's what happens.
Okay.
Because, I said to you in the beginning, the very first step that happens is out of the bone marrow, as soon as you go into fever, your body flushes out millions of white blood cells. That's the response to fever. That's why children have fever, to produce more white blood cells, which are killer cells. They kill virus, bacteria, fungus, and mold.
Strengthen the immune system.
This is the immune system.
Yeah.
White blood cells are your immune system.
Yeah,
so
just making it work.
More of them, plus you activate them. And this is the purpose why your body has a fever reaction in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's a really beautiful concept. You produce more white blood cells. Those white blood cells are flushed out due to your dilated blood vessels. You have higher blood circulation, more pressure. You have higher pulse. When you go into fever, you go to about 140 pulse.
Yeah.
This is a workout.
Yeah.
You breathe, and it's very intense. So when you have that, your body is flushed with oxygen, is detoxified in the most massive way because the blood runs hot and sweats everything out. Plus you have those scavengers eating up all fungus, bacteria, and mold.
So those only get released at that high of a heat? At fever.
Your body produces ongoing a little bit. But only when you have an infection, then if it's a local infection, what does your body do? Build the red circle.
Right.
So it heats up around the infection. And that's where it intensifies the blood flow to that area.
Interesting, yeah.
But if your body can't catch the local invader, or catch it locally, then it sets the whole house on fire.
But if we have a fever, we need to go to the hospital, go to the doctor, and stop the fever.
Yeah, that's brainwash and a crime to mankind.
Isn't it a crime?
It is the biggest crime that we prevent our children from having fevers, that we prevent them from having all the different childhood diseases.
Yeah.
If anybody is interested, read up Rudolf Steiner, The 12 Steps to an Adult Immune System. It's the most powerful work. He describes every childhood disease. Some of them are bacterial load, some of them are viral load, and they all build up in about 3 days. The disease gestation, where it really happens, and then children have those pimples and they go to bed and they have high fever for about 1 day. Usually it's only 1 day in a healthy system, up to 2 days. And then they have produced so many white blood cells that the disease takes another 2 days for dissolve. Because now the immune system takes care of it. Now the first step is that the immune system has learned how to deal with that bacterium, which means it's like a child learning to walk. They fall 50 times, 250 times, on average 25,000 times on their butt before they can run.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
25,000
Now
times.
think about, you have only 7 times your immune system needs to learn how to deal with invaders, bacteria, fungi, mold.
Yeah.
To be effective.
Right.
And those 12 steps, those 12 fever boosts, they provide the child with that adulthood, not only of the immune system, but of their whole being. If you have children and you realize them, they go through one of those fever bursts, they are afterwards, 10 centimeters taller usually. In short pants don't fit. And then they have that burst. They transform into a different being.
Right.
And that's what we take our children away with those vaccines and with that whole madness that we've started.
Flu shots.
We don't allow them to have those childhood diseases anymore. And that's, like I said, we're heading towards the biggest disaster of mankind with children who have never trained their immune system but have only bombarded the body with toxins.
And
it's
chemicals.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vaccines, flu shots, all that stuff. I mean, so when we deprive our body, especially children, of the ability to create an immune system and draw those white blood cells out of the bone marrow and prevent the body from actually, it's almost like putting a child in a cast or something their whole entire life, and they become atrophy, they become weak.
Certainly.
So then it would make sense that they would need to get flu shots later on. Not need to get flu shots, but they would need to get, they feel like they need some kind of medicine from some authority figure to give them. And so when a child is deprived of that ability to become strong, then they're always going to be genetic weaklings, and they're going to be, we see that.
We've been working a lot with parents and deciding, do I or don't I vaccinate? And we give them a lot of families that have never vaccinated their kids, and they're healthy, they're strong, they're extremely agile, they have all sorts of, and yes, there are children, and I would like to mention that very short. There are children who have a vaccine and they don't have any problems, which means their liver detox pathways work. But that's 1 in 20 children. Now you take 1 or 2 of those liver detox pathways that don't work properly, then you have already, if you add just 1 pathway, then you have already 1 in 10 children. So it goes down with every pathway, and we have 17.
Yeah.
Most children today, which come from unconscious parents, where a lot of damage has already been done, or from grandparents, parents, you have 6, 7, 8 pathways destroyed, which means those children have no possibility to detoxify the vaccines and the heavy metals and the poisons that are inserted into that toxin. And that's the ones who get seizures, who have serious problems, and can snap into autism or onto the spectrum, have ADHD problems.
One more
there's
shot.
Like a whole range of problems that can appear.
Yeah. Sometimes all it takes is that final shot they get, to take them over the edge, and all of a sudden they're autistic,
And the biggest problem is already those parents who are already handicapped with their own health. When they have children, they pass all of their DNA plus all of their toxins already to those children. And now those children which are handicapped getting all these shots, they can't survive it. And that's what we see more and more. Well, we went from 1 in 50 in the last 10 years, I think, down to 1 in 7 now with autistic, or 1 in 8.
Yeah, it's something unbelievable. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, every day we're out seeing children. Like just today, we're at the supermarket, and there was an autistic kid who was bagging our groceries.
Yeah. And
it's only going to get to the point where we're going to start seeing tons of these people.
Yeah.
And they grow up to adults, and they can only have these kind of menial jobs. It's a sad thing.
Yeah. It's multi-complex. It's really just to say it's the vaccine, then they come and say, look, these 10 children had the same vaccine, they have no problem. That's their argument.
Right.
But those 10 children come from a healthy stock, as we call it. In animal world, everybody understands if you have a prize bull and a prize cow and you make babies, then they become prize babies.
They're strong alpha babies.
Alpha babies.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a sick old cow and an old bull that can't walk anymore or is strange built, then the babies are not worth a penny. And this is something they see in the animal world.
But not in the humans.
The human world, it's meant to be blessings from God that you have a healthy baby. You know, we pass on our DNA and we pass on our toxins. And the worst of all, we pass on our habits.
Our habits,
babies. So if I have unhealthy sleeping habits, unhealthy lifestyle habits, unhealthy eating habits, you know, all of that is passed on to the child. And the child grows up already with the burden of toxins, with the burden of my DNA, plus the burden of getting the same imprint as I have, which is pretty much a vortex towards disease.
Yeah, it's a. So what are the current stats? Do you know in Australia? Is it pretty much similar to
1 in 8?
Yeah, it's
I think 1 in 7, 1 in 8.
That's so crazy.
Autism, that doesn't include all the ADHD. You know, on the spectrum. No, that's pure autistic declarations.
That is so crazy. Oh my gosh. I mean, 1 in 8 kids. So now it's primarily more prevalent in boys than it is in women and girl babies. And I've heard it has to do something with the rise or the amount of testosterone in a little boy, and somehow that flips, maybe heavy metal, you know, cascading into the brain or something.
Look, hormones are messengers of life. And if they flare up in little babies to very high levels, especially boys, then if they have interference, let's say with mercury or with aluminum or arsenic, then that's a neurotoxin. And the neurotoxin then completely estranges the signals, and therefore it backfires. It just causes that much havoc. Plus, the biggest problem is there is no blood-brain barrier in babies.
When does that become a factor, or when does it actually develop, do you know?
I think it's only in the first year of life.
When that becomes, so before that, then they have none.
Every heavy metal that comes from breast milk. There was just recently a book released that I read, and my daughter just showed me the paragraph, and she said, Dad, if a mother, today's modern-day mums, would have to take their breast milk in a container across borders, interstate, they would need to declare it as toxic waste, because the poison level, the toxin level in that milk is higher what is admissible as a normal beverage or liquid to be taken cross-border.
That's insane.
That's insane.
That's insane.
And that's all the colors that we have, you know, like all the artificial sweeteners, the artificial taste, the food enhancers. You know, we could go on about the subject. It's seriously frustrating to see what's happening, and you have so little chance to intervene because most people are so unaware. They believe the doctor, you know, first of all, they believe every baby that is born must be healthy because it comes from heaven. Right. You know, it's that kind of belief, you know. It must be perfect and it's all good. It comes from heaven.
Yeah.
That it comes through us is a bit of a bypass. You have to already think a bit more.
Yeah.
And then to add that it is born into an environment which is then conducive to health or not. And then giving 21 or 28 shots of poison to my baby in the first year is such madness that, you know, even a normal mind should realize there must be something wrong, because human mankind evolved healthy and strong for God, how many millions of years? Yeah. And then all of a sudden we manage in the last 80 years, 70 years to create an explosion of disease. Oh, I wonder why.
Well, you know, one of the things too people don't realize who give their kids vaccines is that they're shooting them up straight directly into the muscle, into the bloodstream, bypassing all your eliminative organs, your liver, your stomach, your gallbladder, your colon, your intestines, you know what I mean? So it's straight in. So your body's just all of a sudden having to deal with all these heavy metals and toxins and adjuvants and all these things without any sort of you know, filtering of the kidneys, of the liver, anything. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And, you know, this is where we come back then to hyperthermia. Because all of a sudden, all those latent viral infections that they've shot into your body, whether as a baby or as an adult, you know, with those follow-up shots, they're still there. You know, they don't disintegrate. They stay within you. So it's something that you need to get rid of. Plus, you've added during your lifetime a ton of other things. Infections, toxins, heavy metals. Plastics.
Yeah.
And the only way to detoxify, and this is again where we come back to that beginning, you have people that have very super detox pathways. Now, they detoxify quite well throughout their whole life, and they don't ever have those health issues.
Right.
But if you talk to someone who has health issues, who has chronic fatigue, depression, eczema, psoriasis, all the gut-related issues, that's the people who have problems. Because the toxic overload, the viral overload, the bacterial overload in their body is never taken down because the body can't bring it out. And if the liver is shot, if your liver doesn't work properly, and I explain in a moment the two pathways, phase 1 and phase 2, but if your body can't detoxify, then all of those diseases happen. Now, the only way to get it out is through sweat. And those people we recommend to go in to have 2 times a week a standard sauna. And you can do that in the dome as well. You just go in naked.
Just go in naked.
On 2 big towels that they soak up sweat.
And then you're good to go.
And you're good to go. You go in, have half an hour treatment. Because it's so close up, the heat, it goes so deep, you sweat like an ox.
Yeah.
And then after half an hour, you have your shower, you fold up your sauna, and it's gone.
Okay.
Once a week, you stay longer, and you increase until you go into that fever state.
Okay. So how long typically for a fever state, how long does it take for someone to get into that state after a half hour?
To get up into fever until you turn off is usually around 45 minutes.
Around 45 minutes.
Once you develop fever on your own and you pull the plug from the wall, then you let it go as long as it goes.
Okay.
Sorry for that coughing.
No worries.
It goes, usually you still rise at least for another half hour.
Even with it off?
Even with it off. Because your body develops that own fever dynamic. And like I said, I go up to 104. Always, like on clockwork.
Really?
And then that's another 15 minutes to bring me up. 15, 20 minutes. And then I stay in the dome at least 1 hour, which means I had 1 hour heat up, 1 hour time in the fever. Because the longer you can leave that fever active, the better it is.
Okay.
So we stay 1 hour in the dome.
Or is it 2 hours?
It's 2 hours now in total.
Okay.
And now if you can extend, and it's a little bit of a training thing. Now for females it's always the pee problem, but you can use a bedpan as a male as well. You get one of those bottles and then you urinate in the dome. You don't go out.
That's the key, right?
Yeah, as soon as you go out, you break the fever, and then it starts to diminish.
That's no good.
What we've tried now several times is, like, I go up in fever, I stay at least 1 hour, 1.5, if I can, 2 hours in the dome to keep my fever really at that highest prime level.
So even with the heat off, you're still...
Your body cooks like hell. Yeah, you're firing from all cylinders.
That's crazy.
And this is where your immune system then really works, and every blood vessel is dilated. It tinkles and trickles in every cell.
Wow.
And your immune system is fully at work. Oxygenation pure, and detoxification to a degree that you can't achieve with any other treatment.
Yeah.
And then we open now the dome and go out very short into a hot shower.
To a hot shower?
Not cold, hot shower.
Okay.
And then I just rub off and wrap myself in 2 or 3 big towels and a big wool shawl. You know, my wife has those big wool blankets.
Okay.
So we put them around. So I look like a mummy.
Yeah.
And I go with my big towels underneath because they soak up all the sweat. And then the wool to keep the heat.
That's crazy.
And then we wrap. From outdoor sports, those thermocloth, silver cloth, we wrap that around. So, and then I lay in bed. Usually I sleep straight away for 2 or 3 hours, but I keep cooking. It's like a potato still in the foil.
Yeah. Wow.
So you have that effect. You just sweat like crazy for another 2 hours. And that's why I say 1 hour heat up time, 1 hour in the dome. And then you have at least 2 hours after sweating, after cooking, like really sleeping deep, relaxing, and getting. And then I get out, because then those towels are usually soaked through.
Yeah.
And I have a shower, put on my pajama, a cool shower or whatever, just to bring myself back to normal.
Back to normal.
Then you go and have something to eat and drink, something light, a soup or so, and then you go to bed. This is an afternoon treatment.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't do this before bed.
No, you do 3, 4, heat up time, 5, 6, fever time, and then 7, really cooking in your bed, and then you sleep through the night.
Interesting.
The next morning when you wake up, you can pull out trees. The toxins that have left your body, most of the patients that had chemotherapy, had medication, didn't have a very, active lifestyle with lots of sweating, but rather a lethargic lifestyle.
Right.
They have dark brown, melange, green, black, grayish pajamas on. The stuff that comes out of the skin, we actually dumped the very first long johns that people had on straight away into plastic bag and into the dump. You don't even touch them.
That's like putting it in a hazmat. I mean, that's crazy.
It's incredible what comes out.
So
now, with every bit that you do, every week you repeat that treatment, you bring out more toxins, you bring up more immune cells, and because they last about 2 weeks. So let's say you build up a high immunity, they have a lifetime of about 2 weeks. So you do 1 week later, you produce more, and you produce more. It's like going up the hill, and you get more and more immune, more and more power, more and more systemic health, and the nutrient uptake into your cells is a lot better. You reduce all your viral and bacterial load.
Yeah.
Every single person that goes on a weekly hyperthermia treatment recovers from any disease in half the time.
Wow.
Whether we talk about chronic fatigue, depression and anxiety, or whether we talk any kind of autism. Children with autism are very hard to keep in the dome.
I bet.
There is a lot of problems. Some of them do. They actually collaborate, work with you. But if they are very advanced, it's very difficult. You can't force treat them because they go into a panic. But children with ADHD we had, then all forms of cancer are highly responsive. It's actually one of the strongest cancer remedies in this world because you produce so much white blood cells. Plus all your cancer cells get flagged with heat shock proteins.
I was going to say,
And heat shock proteins is like sprouting green hair, and all of a sudden your immune system recognizes, this is a cell that I actually should kill. So they go after them.
So what about people that have I was going to say, like someone who has bone cancer or low white cells or high white cells, it
regulates.
It regulates.
It doesn't matter.
So it wouldn't matter. So but what about someone with bone cancer, do you think? Is that?
Oh, no.
Is that?
Look, they do even local hypothermia for bone cancer, very targeted, and it's one of the best pain treatments that there are, and it's the only form where you really get that part of the bone recovering.
Wow.
Dr. Herzog has, I think on his entrance level, when you come in on the right-hand side, there is 16 very big posters with research studies where they show all bone cancers that they treat with hypothermia and local hypothermia.
Local hypothermia.
There is tons of research. This is not invented. This is not something that, hyped. The evidence of hypothermia is incredible. What you can't say is that it's a cure.
No.
Because as soon as you stop it, cancer cells come back. That's what we know. As soon as we stop any treatment, cancer cells start growing again.
Right.
You need to change the milieu, you need to change the environment, the lifestyle and everything for them to not come back. But it is the foundation of all European success. When you see that they are the most famous clinics in the world to really recover or heal cancer, it's based on that hypothermia treatment.
It's amazing. I mean, it's been around forever. I mean, ancient American Indians, Aborigines, all around the world. They all have sweat lodges, and they all understand this,
Yeah.
It's amazing. So the cool thing about it is that you're laying down in the dome and your head is out, right?
Yeah.
Which is
lucky.
really important, even from an Ayurvedic perspective, to not heat up the head.
Yeah.
So the head is out, so you can put cold packs or cold towels on your forehead, and so that's a good thing.
Look, hyperthermia was created in 3 different forms. Number 1, bathtub. The problem is you're so shot, you're so dead. We don't know why, but I had 2 or 3 hypothermia treatments in the bathtub, and everybody else who has it too, you're shot afterwards. They're so exhausting.
Are they?
That you can hardly walk afterwards.
Wow.
If you have an energizing near infrared and far infrared, it activates your cells. You feel triple as energized, which the water doesn't do. So there is something different which we don't know. But that's 2 forms already. And then you have viral fever. In Germany, you go to many clinics, they shoot you a flu virus.
Do they really?
They actually shoot you a proper flu virus. And then you come down with the cold. The doctor sends you away. And then you walk around sneezing, sniffing. And then you come back. They put you actually into that artificial freezing state. Where you start shivering. And then the cold kicks in, and then you stay 2 or 3 days in the clinic and celebrate a proper cold.
Wow.
They enhance the fever with additional flu shots, viral flu shots, to give you that fever. And you know that this is the most popular treatment that all athletes have to build up their immunity. They do hypothermia, the standard, which we do with far infrared, but they also do the viral. Because if they go to Mexico, if they go to any of the countries, which we call third world countries, but countries, where the hygiene issues and where you get those rajos de Montezuma, those diarrhea issues, they can't have that for a competition, or for...
Yeah, you can't have that.
Exactly. So they need to build up their immune system to a totally different degree. And that's what they do with fever. Because as soon as you had a fever, your body is primed with immune cells and you can withstand anything 10 times better.
That's so fascinating. Yeah. So yours is a far infrared. Is that right?
Well, I studied the Haeckel bed. The Haeckel bed is $25,000 and it has 4 far infrared heaters above your belly, and that's it, or 6. And I was like, $25,000 for this?
Yes.
Those far infrared heaters cost you $80.
Yeah.
And then a bit of electricity.
What gives?
It's the medical approval and safety and certainty and bed and whatever. And they build all the fluff around to make it look a bit more attractive.
Fancy it up a bit.
Exactly. And I was like, look, they charge for a treatment $1,000.
Do they really?
Well, a nurse, 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours, plus the room, plus the equipment, plus whatever, and the emergency station and the doctor. Yeah. So they charge $1,000 for a treatment. If it's $800 if you buy a 10-pack or so.
Okay.
But it still is a lot of money. Now, that's already out of range for many people.
Oh, yeah.
And we have thousands of patients who can't do that. For them to afford, $1,900 plus shipping here in Australia, in US, $1,900 US, you buy the dome. And I have to say thank you to Clearlight, because Andy was very helpful. They have that Clearlight dome, which is without any EMF. And Andy said, Marcus, try it out for hypothermia. I was laying 2 hours in that dome, full power on, and I still had no fever.
Wow.
They built those to sweat, but not to increase core body temperature. So we had new heat pads made for us with triple the strength and double the strength. And Andy put them into the dome. Now, they can't sell that because they would get problems if people burn themselves.
Okay.
But we sell it as a hypothermia dome with the education. So when people buy the dome from us, they get the strong dome with the strong heaters. And they, as I said, 45 minutes to achieve that temperature. And that's $1,900. That's usually, let's say, 2 treatments that they pay in a clinic.
Oh, yeah.
And they can do that for the next Well, lifetime, because there is a lifetime warranty on the dome.
Is there really?
Well, it's lifetime for private people, for commercial people, because we have so many clinics now that
they're
use
using
the dome.
those. Yeah.
We have, I think, a 3-year warranty.
3-year warranty.
I think it's just because of handling every day 10 patients.
Yeah.
You need to be careful.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. Wow. So
Instead
for
of a person once a week. Or
once a
twice
week, yeah, as opposed to 3 or 4 a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So in clinics, are they putting people through that same protocol where it's like 3 to 4 hours per person?
Yes. Yeah, 4 hours. 4 hours is the standard.
Well, I guess it's 2 hours in the dome, but then so the dome could be clear
you
for
have 1 hour heat up, and if possible, at least 1.5 hours to 2 hours staying in the heat. So always calculate 3 hours.
3 hours.
That's the minimum.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there's clinics who offer hypothermia in Mexico. You go in half an hour and then you have your shower and they say you had hypothermia. You know, we need to be careful. I speak of the medical, proved, tested, documented, thousands of research studies available, proper hypothermia as it's done in Germany.
Right.
There is a lot of hocus pocus going on. You know, like sit in the sauna, it's just as good as hypothermia.
Yeah.
You never get to fever. So testing core body temperature, most of those clinics don't do either. They just say, oh, you're hot now. You know, like now your cancer cells are flagged. I am a very accurate person in my procedures, and that's why when you buy a dome from us, you get that core body temperature thermometer with the dome, because it allows you to really measure rectally your whole curve as you go, how long it stays, how long it heats, and then when it goes down.
Oh, that's right, because you have that connected, don't you, to an app of some kind that you can monitor, right? Because I was going to say, how does someone monitor that during the...
On any device, whether it's an Apple or Android or phone or iPad, doesn't matter. They can download an app. Even, I think, for computer, for PC, you download a little program. You connect via Wi-Fi to your little thermometer, and then you can monitor the whole process through. You can even get the graph. You can make notes to graph. You have alarm settings for overheating.
Oh,
everything.
Wow.
It's a medically approved app.
So,
you know, the same device from Heckelbed you buy for $2,500, and here it's a $180 or $200 software with the thermometer, and we provide that with the dome.
So when someone inserts the butt plug and uses that,
I created a name.
the butt plug. So when someone inserts that, they insert it at the beginning, and then they'll be able to look at the app on their phone during the whole process.
Yeah, we recommend that it's not the person who is in the dome, but the person who monitors the person who is in the dome.
Okay.
So it's like a little bit aside, because when you're in the dome, you get paranoid. You look at this thing, half a degree. It's half a degree up. It's half a degree up. Oh God, it's going down. Oh no, now it's jumping back up again. You know, like, because it's a very unpleasant feeling in that heat.
Right.
So you would like to get it up fast, but then this thing becomes a paranoia. So it's always best to keep it at the side so you can't look to it.
Okay.
But the monitoring person has a clear view and sees exactly what's happening, how the temperature. See, Sabrina, she went in with, and I just say it in Celsius because I know, without translation, but she started in at 36.8, which is Celsius, a normal body temperature.
Okay.
And then as soon as the heat turned on, her body was cooling down. So she fell just to compensate for the heat outside.
Right. Her body's trying to regulate. Yeah.
And then she regulated down to 36. And then it took quite a while until she was slowly coming up 37, 37.5. And then you see it stagnates. It doesn't go further. That's when your body fights. 38 is usually like that barrier. Your body tries everything possible to prevent that overheating.
Yeah.
So you go into that fast breathing, you go into that panic mode.
Heart rate goes up.
Yeah. And everybody wants to get out of the dome. Says, I have enough. Right now it's enough. I don't need any more.
Yeah.
And then you need someone to sweet talk you through that process.
Okay.
And then as soon as you are through and you just get that little bit above, then your body it really is, the body and mind relax into the treatment. And then you actually enjoy the heat. You know, when I'm up at 40 and Sabrina says, should we ventilate a little bit, you know, to get the temperature not too high?
Yeah.
And she just opens up, close it, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold.
Yeah, you want
leave
it
warm. It's nice. And that's a very, very pleasurable position to be in. And for an hour, you know, that time flies because you're anyway so in half delirium.
Yeah, you're kind of
state,
kind of half awake.
Yeah.
So, can someone do this if they don't have, you know, if they live alone? You know,
no.
You got to have.
We do not recommend to do this treatment alone.
Yeah, it's too risky.
Have a friend, a family member, a daughter, a son, a parent. Doesn't matter. If you have two patients, you know, I always say the biggest problem of cancer is cells don't communicate anymore with the rest of the world.
Right.
So a cancer cell has lost the ability of communication. So the very first healing process is already to find someone else and communicate and say, look, Wednesday is my day. How about Thursday or Friday is your day? You do me on Wednesday, and then I have 2 days to recover, you know, and to really look forward, and then I do the treatment with you. And just that alone and working with someone, caring for someone, helping someone is already healing.
Yeah.
So finding that, building that community, paying half, you know, that's $900 or $1,000 per person for the dome. Wow.
Yeah.
And then they can work through this whole process together, share their experience, share their emotion, and it's a phenomenal thing. So I always recommend only with a guardian person, and especially one that looks after you. You know,
someone that actually cares.
Something to drink. Exactly.
Yeah. Go get some cool towels for you.
Yeah.
So with the insertion of the butt plug, is that uncomfortable for people? Have you had people say it's not
Females
that bad?
can do vaginal insertion, so that's easy. And it's also easy to reach, or they can do rectal, but it's really simple. Yeah. It's about 4 centimeters, a little metal pin that slides gently out. You can put, if you share it with others, you know, like it's stainless steel, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But if you share it with others, you can put a condom or a little plastic sleeve over the top and insert it. Doesn't really matter. It's still very, very accurate.
So that's the best way to get your temperature, right? Because you're talking during the seminar.
There's no other way.
Yeah, it's not as accurate.
Body core temperature.
Yeah.
See, the biggest issue is when I measure in my ear, it's a peripheral heat in my ear or in my mouth. I breathe, so it could be cold air. It could be the ice cube that I just sludge.
Yeah.
So it's something that defame. But you don't want to go higher than 104, because if you go to 108, I think it is 107, 108, that's when you have coagulation of heat of proteins.
Okay.
Which means you could get a stroke, you could get some blockage, which we don't want.
So higher than 104 Fahrenheit.
104 Fahrenheit.
And what is that Celsius? Like
that's in
30?
Celsius is 41.
41.
41.8, we say. Okay. We shouldn't go higher than that, 41.8.
Okay.
But see, I try to keep myself always on 41, and that is a safe environment. At that environment, every single pathogen dies off. You know, your bacteria die off, you're unhealthy, your Helicobacter pylori dies off, all your cancer cells get heat shock proteins. It's phenomenal.
That's crazy.
You know, I think it's the same with everything. If you climb up a mountain, you know, you might not get all the way up the first time, but if you try a few times and in the end you sprint up. And it's the same. I do now hypothermia treatment since 8 years.
For 8 years?
7 years, yeah, around that.
About once a week? Or you
twice a week.
Yeah, you do
when
twice.
I travel, I do it before I go, but then during travels I don't. You know, like we had last time in the RV, we had the dome underneath, and then we took it out, and then we had hypothermia treatment in the RV. But you know, you don't have a right shower and nothing. So
yeah, you can't really do this afterwards.
So when we travel, we don't. But when we are at home regularly every second week as a maintenance to keep level, and if I feel I'm going down, I feel like I'm not doing too well, my immune system isn't doing too well, I've been cheating a little bit, you know, which is the problem when you travel.
Yeah, it's easy.
So every time when I come home, I have every week to bring everything back up to speed.
Yeah.
And then once I feel good, than every second week.
So do you feel like, obviously it's more fun to do in the winter because you're colder already, and it's just kind of, it's easier.
Quite nice to attract you in.
But if you're doing it in the summer, it's probably one of those things that is you're not as motivated to do because you're already hot. I was, at the beginning of one of our seminars, you were sweating through your shirt. I remember that in Noosa because it's midsummer there right now. So, but that's probably the time that it's the most beneficial. Do you think?
Well, I wouldn't say that. It really depends what your constitution is. Like I say, patients that don't cheat, don't misbehave, don't go over the edge, don't overexhaust, don't,
with their diet and lifestyle?
With everything, okay. Exactly, or sleeping patterns or whatever.
Right.
They can easily stay 3-4 weeks without, because their system is not compromised. But let's say you have a trauma, you have shock, you have stress at work, you have an environment that is stressful, you have kids that don't listen or do whatever they want.
Yeah.
and you struggle. Your husband is not performing, or your wife is not doing what you want. The stress levels are high.
Yeah.
Then you have an unhealthy diet, and then everybody is sick, and then you're overworked. You don't get enough sleep.
Yeah.
That's when our immune system is so compromised that it cannot cope with everything.
Too much.
Exactly. So during that time, it doesn't matter whether summer or winter, you do your treatment once a week. And that's when you realize, first of all, it's that 5 hours out. I enjoy them. They're for me 5 hours, no emails, no checking, no nothing.
I know, right? It's a nice break.
Completely off time. It's meditation time. It's breathing time.
Yeah.
I've done all sorts of things. Put a projector behind me up onto the ceiling, and then I lay in the dome and watch a movie.
Do you? Yeah.
Or listen to music. But now I really don't need that distraction. I go in and talk a little bit with my wife, and then as soon as I hit the 38.5 and I go into my la-la land,
kind of out of it.
I'm just out of it, and let her do the job and look after me, and I go very, very soothing 2 hours, and then afterwards into my potato skin and another 2 hours, and then I sleep all night.
So when someone does the close inside the dome, and you're sweating inside even with
2, 3, 4 liters. So you need to drink a lot while you're.
So you need to drink. So with the clothes on, doesn't prevent. Because you know how they talk about like heavy metals being pulled out of the sweat?
No.
And then being reabsorbed. You want to wipe it off and all that?
There's only one way. There's no other way. Because of the sweating, there's only one way. It needs to get out.
Okay.
So your body just pushes out. That's why I said those T-shirts and those long johns are gray, brown, black in some people. Really, there's so much crap coming out.
Wow.
The towel underneath is completely soaked with color. Like I said, we had one young man, multiple myeloma, advanced stage in the lymph nodes. The doctor said 3-6 months. Let's face it, there is not. We can't do anything. We can cut it out, but that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. And he had a fever treatment, his very first fever treatment. It was a massive nightmare, because he was going up so high, so extreme high in his infections.
Yeah, I think
and in his fever. So we really had, a barrel to keep him at bay. But he had 3 treatments, and then his whole melanoma disappeared. It just disappeared.
Wow.
So once his infectious load that was down, he had a lot of drug abuse. All the toxins were out. His first 3 rounds of towels, his girlfriend said, "I'm not touching this without rubber gloves." The stuff that came out, that was green, gray, brown, black. So she rolled up the towels, and normally what we do is we check what we drink and what comes out. So we weigh the towels before they are wet as a dry, and then we put them afterwards on a scale to see how much water actually came out, how much they weigh when they're soaked. And that's a little bit how you can get 2 kilos of water, into those towels, and you can build 3-4 layers underneath. They soak up.
Oh my gosh.
So the detox is phenomenal. There's nothing better than that.
Wow. So he was pulling out chemotherapy and toxins.
Yeah.
And that's
the nice
crazy.
thing is, when you drink electrolytes, vitamin C, liposomal vitamin C, extreme high alkaline water. You can add ASEA water for the oxygen. You can mix and mingle.
What about ozonated water?
Ozonated water, absolute dream.
Yeah.
So you can really do many things to vary the taste and to vary your time that you're in there and get you some taste into your mouth. Wow. And that's very helpful.
So you would want to obviously drink all throughout this time you're in there.
Yes.
You got to stay hydrated.
You have a little glass with a long straw, bendable straw, because when you lay on your back, that somebody can hold it to your side and then you sibble in through the straw.
Wow, what a trip.
Look, the most important thing is we've created so many videos from patients, myself, my wife going through, we've just filmed it, how we do it, because I can't tell you to do that treatment. That would be illegal. But I can show you how I do it. So we do the treatment so regularly. Then we filmed it. I was speaking the whole time through, I'm annoyed now. I want to get out. So grumpy. Yeah. And I was really talking the whole way through the treatment. Sabrina did the same as well. Trish did the same. And then Andy, like everybody that we filmed. Yeah. And we cut that all together. Then we did a whole series of treatments that they do in the clinic where the doctor does the treatment, and we film them so that you can compare what is the medical procedure, what is our procedure. Then we do the treatment in the clinic with the patient with our instruments so that we can actually showcase that they're accurate. We've taken a lot of effort to make it as logical and as easy and as safe for everybody to do at home. We don't tell them to do it, but we show them, if they want to do it, how to do it.
This is how we do it.
Exactly.
So do you do any, I think during the conference you were talking about glutathione, liposomal vitamin C. A lot of people are doing like a niacin before, like a flush. There's all kinds of protocols that people can do in terms of...
And it depends also what your main problem is. Cancer, artemisia and vitamin C and glutathione. If you have more depression, then you add more B complex before. So you can really vary dependent on what the issue is.
Yeah. So do you yourself do a lot of those protocols? Do you do like high dose vitamin C yourself, or?
I use the Bioenergy C from Dr. Gary Gordon, which you can take in quite high concentrations orally without getting diarrhea.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So liposomal is the same. You can take quite high doses without getting diarrhea. So if you don't have a doctor, most of our advanced cancer patients, they have a doctor where they can get IV vitamin C. So it's always, like I said, it's a combo treatment. When you look at blood before and after PMF, you realize that it's all clotted up and all, stagging in rouleau cones. Yeah. So what we do is, as a procedure, and that's what, again, Dr. Rao explained that so beautifully. He said, why would I make my life difficult if I can make it easy? First, the patient has PMF. Energize the patient, because to heal means to have energy. Right. I need a lot of energy to do the healing. I need a lot of energy for the body to produce white blood cells. So we first do PMF. We activate everything to full beam. Then we give them ozone. Because ozone is then oxygen rich, kills off pathogens, stimulates the immune system with singlet oxygen. And then we put them into an IV treatment, high dose vitamin C or artemisia or curcumin, depending if a patient is very, very inflamed, then they would use curcumin. If there is more like free radical damage and toxins, then they would use vitamin C. If there is a lack of glutathione, if the body doesn't have master antioxidant availability because of DNA impairments, then they would use glutathione as well. Now that's given. And then the patient goes into the hypothermia dome.
Oh my gosh. So what a treatment.
It's a really nice combination. So Trish, for example, and Michael and everybody that we have, they have a PMF machine at home. So they have PMF. Then they drive to the doctor and have their vitamin C infusion. And then they drive home and go into the hypothermia dome and have their hypothermia treatment, primed with PMF, and they use ozone either after or use it in between. And you know what?
Wow, what a treatment.
The cost when you think about, we've divided the cost for PMF, the cost for the dome and ozone. We divided that on a weekly treatment for 1 year.
Okay.
Which is, the protocol that you will need to do in a clinic as well, just in different intervals. And the cost is about $190 per treatment, $150 per treatment. Wow. I mean, instead of $1,000 per hypothermia, then you pay for PMF and you end up easily $1,400 per treatment in a clinic setting, and here it's $150 with that investment.
That's so cool.
It's a dream come true. Now you think you build a community of 2 or 3 people. You create that room where you have your hypothermia dome and your PMF and your ozone machine. And then you have a trampoline or a wobbler in there, those vibration machines.
Those are cool too.
And then 2 couches where you can talk with each other and can meet and do juices with a little kitchen. And you have a center. And see, we have so many going up around the world where individual people build that little center, and then they create a private club. People sign up. They join with a membership, they buy into the equipment, and then they have a small fee.
And they can use it regularly
to be able to use the equipment.
I mean, what a dream.
And it's a fraction of the cost, and you can do 80% of what the best cancer clinics in Germany do. All you need is a good doctor locally to do some blood work, to check if everything goes well, what you do, if it works, if your toxin level goes down, if your deficiencies are balanced, and
just get tested on a regular basis, and then you'd need someone to do the IVs, right? Yeah, someone to do that.
That's something. Here in America, it's easy. You get them almost everywhere.
Yeah, there's one up in Huntington Beach, which is not too far from here. Yeah, on the way to the airport. Yeah, so I mean, it's amazing. So what I like about that too is all 3 of these treatments. During the seminar, during the workshop that you did, you talked all about each one of these in detail. What's so cool is that these are treatments that are easy to learn, easy to do, and you can do it at home, and you don't need the authority of a medical professional doctor to tell you what you have to do, what you can do, what you can't do, what your state of health is. These are all things people can do by themselves to keep themselves from ever getting a disease or just becoming the best version of themselves, having the most radiant health, the best energy, all that stuff. I mean, it's amazing.
Like I said, I met more sports people that do those treatments. Every NFL player, any kind of extreme sport player that is in contact sports, in rugby sport or anything, uses PMF. Almost every soccer club has now PMF to mend any kind of small injury right away, even on the sport field. It becomes something that you realize is used with horses, race horses. It's used with all the prize people, prize animals, prize whatever. But the sick people, they can't get that, because that's where we need FDA approval and this and this and this. Yeah. But you can use it as a healthy person to perform to your maximum.
Yeah, you were saying during the workshop that every horse that is successful or that has won anything all use PEMF, right?
Well, there's not one horse in the last 15 years that won the Derby that is not treated with PMF.
Really?
It's phenomenal.
So what do they do? Use it before and after, I guess, maintenance too, in between races? And
like Jerry said, they check if they have any kind of movement problems, like
how
humans.
They run sideways.
Exactly, like sideways walk, or when they roll their hip not properly or their sacral in the back. There is from that extreme sport that they do, they also use certain muscle groups to compensate for weaker muscle groups. And that then becomes cramped and exhausted. So they try to balance all muscles out so that they all work equally. And that's what you can do stunningly with PMF, to balance them out, to strengthen their tendons, to strengthen their legs and all of that. So it's, like I said, it's phenomenal.
So you said you have a lot of people around the world that are doing these centers you're talking about, healthcare practitioners. And so you're
private people.
These are private people.
Private people who buy the equipment for themselves.
Okay.
And then to finance the equipment, invite 2, 3, 4, 5 others, And then all of a sudden it usually turns into that kind of little mini business,
Yeah.
a bigger business.
Yeah.
And they realize they make a huge money with it.
Right.
If you have 5 patients a week, your device is paid for in 1 year. 5 a week.
5 a week.
Now, if you say
That's only
you
one a
make
day.
only 3 days, or let's just say you make 2 or 3 days available your machine, and you book each day 2 or 3 people, or 4 people, or 5 people, you can in no time finance a second machine, a third machine, a fourth machine, and
double up on the patients.
You heard at the workshop, it really is phenomenal. Once they are hooked to the machine, how good they feel. It's like ongoing. They come back. None of these machines is standing still. In any center that we have them, they are booked from morning 5 till 10 o'clock at night. Every single day from morning till night.
Wow. I was talking to one lady, a girl, I should say. You may have spoken to her. She had cancer, or I should say her body had cancer somewhere in her throat, and then also, I forget where the other tumor was. But she had purchased a PEMF. She had purchased the $20,000 or whatever it is, the really expensive one. And she was going to buy a dome, but she was saying that ever since she's been using, I don't know if I should say this, but, ever since she's been using the PEMF right on the area where her tumor is in her neck, she's been getting constant scans and updates, and that tumor is getting smaller.
Yeah.
So,
she told me,
like I said, PEMF, we can't say it cures anything. We can't say it does any of these things.
It does not.
Yeah.
What it does, it helps the body in that area to detoxify, to get more oxygen, to get more energy. Mm-hmm. It activates your immune system to work stronger. See, the nice thing, and this is where I believe when you change your language and don't run with your fist against the wall, it hurts, right? Why do we do that? We treat and cure cancer, and bang, we get slapped.
Yeah, wonder why.
But what if we say, we promote health, we boost our immune system, we have a deep tissue detoxification to get rid of toxins, and we activate our immune system so it takes care of all the bacteria and fungi and mold in our body and kills all the viral loads, and we feel great. It's the same thing. But on one side, we don't treat disease, we promote health.
Right.
And we train that with all our health coaches. They go through, and you wouldn't believe how hard it is to change that habit. We're so programmed to sell and buy cures, and we treat disease that it takes usually at least the first quarter of the program where Sabrina nonstop sends them back. You have answered everything right, but your word choice is very wrong. Yeah. Please submit with the proper word choice because it's really the language that we need to change.
Yeah.
And our coaches end up in the end as promoters of health. And we always say, if we promote so much health that there is no more space for disease, great.
Yeah, then that works out best for everybody. And one of the things too, I mean, if someone could know that their body had cancer cells their entire life, but they could be told that you will live to your 105 and you're going to have tons of energy and feel good, but you're going to have cancer your whole life, everyone would say, that's fine.
That's fine. Exactly.
Yeah, no problem. I'll do that.
Yeah.
So if you're promoting health, then that's kind of the same thing. In the meantime, maybe someone's cancer cells will slowly go away. But you're
nice
focused on health.
See that. Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited when that happens. And we have very often that stage where cancer cells disintegrate, everything gets smaller, everything is better. But then it's often a stagnation point where we don't get any further. And you can see that in many studies too, when they have, for example, Helicobacter pylori goes down to a certain level, but then it stays. When you take Epstein-Barr virus, when you take hepatitis C, all of those things, they go down to a certain degree, but that's where they stay at.
Right.
So it's the same with tumors. You still have that scar tissue, still have that. And it's like dormant. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't cause you any harm, any pain, any problem, but it's dormant there. And as soon as the patient goes a little bit off track or overburdens the immune system with other issue, then you see that this area flares first back up.
Yep.
It's like a latent, dormant problem. And I have very, very few. I have to actually admit that. I always thought, it's just they don't do enough.
Yeah.
It's not true. There's some of them, they do all they can. And because they want to get pregnant, because they want to have healthy children, because they really want to be cancer-free.
Right.
But it doesn't go beyond that point. And you know that from Chris Carr.
I was going to say,
famous, and since years she promotes and she works on herself and everything, but she stays at that level. Mm-hmm. And we know that now from Lyme's disease, from any. It's like cellular memory. Your body doesn't let go of that signal. And we call it now the barometer. Do I perform? It's perfect. Or am I cheating? And it goes up and it goes up. And it tells us you're off track. You're not fulfilling what you actually should do. So as soon as your tumor markers go up, as soon as your discomfort goes up, then you need to go back on track.
Right.
And it is actually quite simple. Like Michael, he cheats every time he's diagnosed as cancer-free, and then he comes home and says, "Yeah, let's have a party," and then he's off. And it's a friend of mine, and with multiple myeloma, now the 7th year. And every time he's completely reversed and everything
he kind of lets go a little bit.
And then he comes back and says, "Marcus, my tumor markers are going back, and look, my lymph nodes are swelling up." And
man.
And then he gets fully back on track. So it is...
for some people, it can continue to be in their body for their whole life.
Yes.
Like Chris Carr, I think she calls them like her love, like her liver spots. She calls them like her beauty spots. Yeah, that's right. But, if she lives a long time and she, has the energy, she's talk about a whole spiritual transformation from awakening, like you were talking about during the conference. It's an entire wake up call to show how far off you've gone in your life. Yeah. And if you look at her life before all of this and the kind of person she is now, what a difference.
Yes.
You know what I mean? On a spiritual, emotional, professional level, every area of her life is different. And I think that is what cancer is calling us.
Every problem is equally an opportunity to grow.
Right.
And therefore, if I don't see the problem, if I see the opportunity and the motivation that comes from the problem, all of a sudden I can turn my life around and say, wow, okay, look at all those things that want me to grow.
Yeah. Same too. I think you were talking about this during the conference as well, or maybe not. Maybe I just I dreamed this up. But, for someone to be diagnosed with cancer and for them to get that diagnosis and they're living just a shitty life, their life is out of control, they have all these problems and, they're not taking care of themselves, and they get diagnosed with cancer, what is the purpose for them to get healed and then go back to that same life?
Yeah.
What's the point?
That's exactly it.
Right?
We're creatures of habits and deep imprinted habits.
Yeah.
Think about what you've been eating since you were small, what you've learned to like, and what you've learned to imprint with 1,000 birthday parties, with 1,000 celebrations as the food that you like.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you have to change that. This is a slow motion process. You have neurons that are mega highways, 10-lane highways to say, cake, I want to have, I'm going to eat. This is a mega highway that has been imprinted in some people since I think it's daily 2 or 3 times, and then since from your life. So if you calculate that, how many times that is,
however old you
that's
are,
a mega habit.
Yeah.
And now you need to change that habit and program juices that you never liked.
Bitter green juices that taste horrible. Who wants that?
I have pity with every single soul that struggles, because I do too.
Yeah, it's challenging, man. It is... it's a whole life change, it's a whole spiritual, emotional journey for people.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. So the domes are available on your website, and I'll put them on this show page too. I'm not sure what the number is going to be, but I'll put it on this show page too. Maybe in the post show wrap up, I'll say what the number is going to be for people, but they'll be available. So right now you sell the training with the dome, and the training has all the videos of how you use it, all the protocols and all that. It comes with the software, the plug, and everything, right?
Yeah. Complete.
Complete
Even
system.
Towels, everything in it. So it's very, very easy. You just unpack it and start and watch 2 or 3 videos. I would prepare with a little bit of vitamin C and everything so that you build up, that you have that at home.
Okay.
And that's all.
So would someone want to work their way up when they first get the dome? Would they want to start small, or
you can start just doing sauna 2 times a week.
Yeah.
Don't stress yourself.
Yeah.
Just do regular 2 times a week sauna to detoxify.
Get used to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then in the next stage, when you have a partner, when you have someone to work with you and you talked with them and they've watched the video as well, that they know what to do.
Yeah.
Then you stay in there and you go up to, in 45 minutes and observe how your body responds. Some people haven't had fever for the last 10 years. So if that's the case, it takes a while for the body to recognize, oh, I'm actually getting hot.
Yeah.
They never had fever consciously since little children.
Yeah.
Because afterwards it was always blocked or Panadoled down.
Yeah.
So it might take a little while for that fever to really respond and kick in.
Okay.
And that's what I always say. At 38 Celsius, 104, pull the plug and let the body do what it wants. If it doesn't go up, fine. Next time. You just stay a little bit, see if the body reacts. If it doesn't react, dome off, have a shower, and next time. And so slowly build up. Let the body itself play along.
And be with the heat.
Exactly. And then you can go to 38.5. And then if you really don't get fever and your body doesn't kick in, take it to 39 with heating. And then see if it then kicks in. Like I said, Sabrina needed 39 to start the fever. But we have that explained. All videos. I go through. There is a webinar training on there.
Okay.
And I go through every single step. We have a checklist in there. They get the whole checklist to download.
Oh, nice.
So there is nothing that you can forget. And we've been very thorough to even write down very tiny little things so that it becomes very clear.
So one final question for people. A lot of our listeners have saunas already. If they do have a sauna that they like and they want to keep using, should they try going in with the clothes on and see if that will bring them to, that it'll change from the sweating to the hypothermia?
A normal sit-in sauna, you can do whatever you like. You'll never get up.
You'll never get that high.
The volume of air around you, the distance from the heaters is too big.
I see. Yeah.
Or at least you have it maybe from the back and from the side if you go into a corner. But then the other sides are too exposed. Look,
you need a small area.
We went from 1200 watt, which the normal dome is with the pad. We went to 2000 to get the results that we have.
Oh, wow.
And that's that's the minimum. We have the latest dome that just came in has now 1200, 2200 watt.
Oh, really?
To really get us the results. So it's not, and that's on a distance measured of 5 centimeters all around.
Okay.
So, like I said, I tried everything.
They're too big.
I have 5 domes. 5 domes that I bought from different companies, different brands to find out whether they work.
Yeah.
And then from those 5 domes, we tested out how much EMF they have, how much heat output, what the radiation levels are.
Mm-hmm. All that
excluded already 4 of them that we didn't or couldn't use.
Wow.
Because the EMF was way too high. Like Chinese carbon fiber heaters, they are pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
They are in such a high EMF rate that it's already so unhealthy that the sweating doesn't really help.
Yeah.
And that's why we with Clearlight, we have a super quality, but it was still not strong enough. So increasing that temperature gauge was then giving us that extra power.
Gosh, that's so cool. That's so cool. That's
We've
amazing.
now exchanged the heaters, and I have 5 out for patients as rentals. And it works out really well. Instead of buying, they rent them. And now I think one center keeps them all.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they do really well. And
That's cool. I like that. So you give all the training, you get all that stuff with the sauna. That's really cool.
Yeah, I show people how we do it. Don't say I give them training.
Yeah.
I show them how we do it.
How you do it. It's all about wording, right?
It always is.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Marcus, for being on the show today. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Justin, for your effort in getting the word out and helping people to stay well and healthy.
Yes. Well, we're going to go eat some food. I think it's time to eat some food, and we're going to get you back early so that you can get up at 2 a.m. for a flight out. Awesome.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Marcus.
Hi, my name is Lee, and for 10 years I've suffered from ulcerative colitis. I've taken prednisone, ibuprofen, and many other prescription drugs and never saw any improvement. I tried salmon oils and flaxseed oils, but only burped them up, and they did not seem to help. Then I learned from an acquaintance who healed her rheumatoid arthritis by using Andreas seed oils. I was so inspired to try them, I began taking Andreas flaxseed, 5-seed blend, black cumin, and coriander seed oils. In 5 months, the swelling in my hands was so reduced, I was able to see my knuckles for the first time in 5 years. I've been off all medications for 13 months, and by using only Andreas seed oils, my colitis is controlled, and the arthritis pain in my knees is also reduced, and my inflammation is zero, and so many other benefits.
A patent-pending process has been developed which results in seed oils that have virtually zero oxidation and are structurally intact. Now, the full healing power of seed oils is available to you via the Andreas seed oils. Click on the One World Way banner ad here at extremehealthradio.com. That's extremehealthradio.com.
I have been a huge fan of rebounding for many, many years, and if you want to get in great cardiovascular shape, tone your legs, back, and butt, and stomach, as well as cleanse your lymphatic system from toxins and chemicals, you just have to start rebounding. It's imperative. And not only will it create endorphins that quickly become addictive to you, but it's very low impact as well. It helps to prevent sicknesses and diseases, as well as increase bone density, and it flushes toxins from your lymphatic system. It's amazing. And not only that, but it's a ton of fun also. I do it every single day for about 15 minutes. And we found the best rebounder on the market today in the world, bar none. It's called the Bellicon Rebounder. It's the Rolls Royce of rebounders, in my opinion. And let's listen to some of what our guests have had to say about rebounding. Robert von Sarbacher is a health researcher and creator of the Mini Beat Protocol. And Robert, what's your favorite exercise?
In general, probably one of the number one anti-aging exercises on the planet is rebounding. So 15 minutes a day is good for that. You can find people who have had thermography scans on cancers, giant tumors, and when they're doing a rebounder, it would start spewing out and shrinking right in front of your eyes, the tumor would, as they're on the rebounder. So it's really good for that sort of thing. It's also very good for exercising internal organs. It's the only internal organ exerciser that I know of known to man.
Dr. Lindsay Duncan is the CEO and founder of Genesis Today. And what's the best way that you think of to stimulate the lymphatic system of the body?
Rebounding is incredible because it's good for the lymphatic system, and there's more lymph fluid in the body than there is blood. And the quickest way and the most effective way to get the lymphatic system flowing is through rebounding itself.
Yeah, because the lymphatic system can't really detox itself, can it? I think you know.
No, the heart, we have the heart, thank you, for pumping blood. And we don't have a heart to pump lymphatic fluid. The only thing that really can pump lymphatic fluid is cardiovascular exercise utilizing the thighs, the thigh muscles. And that's why rebounding and getting a burn in that thigh muscle is so important for the flow and the stimulation of the lymphatic fluid.
Wow, and they even put cancer patients on rebounding, don't they?
Nutritionists do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but not a conventional doctor. But yeah, I've been learning about rebounding lately. It's quite an amazing thing.
Yeah, rebounding's amazing.
Health researcher and author of Cancer Step Outside the Box, Ty Bollinger. What do you do in your life to prevent cancer?
What do you do to treat cancer? What do you do to prevent it? Rebounding is something that I try to do on a daily basis, a little mini trampoline for those people that aren't familiar with the term rebounding, but it's basically just jumping up and down on that little mini tramp. What that does is it stimulates the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is one of our primary detoxification systems in our body, and most folks don't stimulate their lymph flow, and so the toxicity in their body builds up because their lymph is not stimulated, and the up-down motion on a rebounder stimulates the lymph flow better than just about any other exercise. So I do that almost on a daily, probably 5 days a week. I would say I average doing that.
And finally, author and speaker and creator of the Longevity Now program, David Wolf. Do you think the Bellicon is the best rebounder on the market today?
Absolutely. I was just with the crew in Europe that does the Bellicon Rebounder, which is an incredible rebounder. My God, what a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't use metal springs. It uses like flexi ropes. So it's very soft and fun, and it's just great to play with.
Well, there you have it. The up and down G-force actually stimulates every single cell in your body. It's incredible. And as someone who works out in the gym a lot and does Qigong, I think that the best physical aerobic exercise, in my opinion, is rebounding. It's just absolutely incredible for the human body. And the Bellicon is silent, and it comes with a warranty, and you can get them in several different sizes and colors, and some of them have bars that you can hold on to in case you're worried about balance. It's a well worth it investment in your health and in your future. So check them out in our store if you'd like, or you can check out the videos on extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. Again, that's extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. That's B as in boy, ELLICON. Alrighty, this is a little extra special bonus for audio listeners, people who are subscribed to our podcast in iTunes that are not going to get this material in the YouTube version. And if you guys want to watch this show that we did with Marcus, it's available on YouTube. And as you guys, most of you know, all of our shows are on YouTube. But what's cool is that this particular one he was in studio for, so we had a chance to record it, and it was just awesome. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was interesting. I'm recording this a little bit after, but Marcus is a really cool guy. And for those that don't know, he's also the guy behind the ozone machines that we have in the store, as well as the PEMF devices. If you guys have never tried the PEMF devices, we did a couple shows about PEMF with, what is his name? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. I forget what his name was. Bryant Myers. And he was an advocate of the PEMF devices that you lay down on. And it's interesting because, as with so many things with health, it's so interesting because you have so many people saying the exact opposite. Like on our show, we have people on here that say, raw vegan is the way to go. And then you have people saying that paleo is the way to go. And then you have people saying that ketogenic diet is the way to go. And the other day, I just read an article from Aaron over at Health Nut News, who posted, I think, an article from Dr. Nicholas Gonzalez, the famous doctor who died under very strange circumstances, to put it mildly. But he died, and he was the guy that did the pancreatic enzymes. He did the high dose enzyme therapy for breaking down cancer cells, and somehow he just dropped dead of a heart attack. And he's been on our show once, and he was so fun to talk to, and we talked to him off the air for a long time, and just a really great guy. But he had something about how the ketogenic diet had no impact on cancer at all. And so you have all these people saying all these different things. Now, what I was going to say before was Bryant Myers is a big advocate of the IMRS mat, which is a PEMF device that's very, very low frequency, very, very low. It doesn't put out much. And he was saying, Bryant, when he was on the show, that, bigger is not better, more is not better. And he was basically saying that you don't need all this power. And Marcus is saying, you do need the power because the frequencies don't travel up into the body. So you have just a big debate, available. So I don't know what it is. I just think that, you just kind of go with whoever you resonate with. And I think that if you put intention behind what you're doing and put intention behind the healing practices that you're doing, it's going to help you, regardless of whether or not you have the wrong or the right device. And, we get a lot of people emailing in asking about like the sauna, and they'll say things like, I don't want to buy it because it has very, very low amounts of EMF. I want, this other sauna says it has no EMF. And anything that uses electricity is going to put off some sort of electrical charge. There's just no way around it. And, to me, I just find it interesting that, people will squabble about the amount of EMF that comes off of a sauna. Like our sauna, the one that we sell, we're now selling Marcus's as well in our store, because a lot of people have been asking for a lie down sauna. And, it's not like, it's kind of like with health food, a lot of these products are amazing. And just because we sell one, doesn't mean that we can't sell anything. It's like selling, we have a Vitamix blender and the BlendTech blender in our store. It just depends what you want. A lot of people want something different. A lot of people it's not like the sauna that we sell, the one, I just love it myself. It's the Relax Far Infrared sauna. It's not that that's better than anything. It just depends what you want, what your goals are. Both of them are going to be amazing for you. And, to be honest, I don't think anything, we're exposed to so much electromagnetic field radiation on a daily basis, every single day, from wires, from, ground currents, going back to the grid, cell towers, all kinds of things. We're exposed to it every single day. Not counting. Have you ever checked the EMF radiation in your car? Oh my gosh. I bought one of these, it might be in our store. I'm not sure, but, if you go through our Amazon link, you can get one of these things that we bought on Amazon. It's a tri-field meter. And there's some issues with the tri-field meter. I mean, it's not accurate. I mean, to get a real accurate, gauge of all the frequencies that we're being exposed to, you probably need about 5 to 10 different meters. And, you can get those through our store. They sell all of them on less EMF. So if you go to extremehealthradio.com/less, LESS and you'll be able to be redirected. But in any event, you probably need about 5 or 10 different devices to find out all the different radiation fields. But I find it so fascinating that, people are a lot of people have asked about the radiation. And in the Relax Far Infrared sauna, there's a small amount of, not radio frequency, magnetic frequency coming off of the fans at the bottom, and then it dissipates to almost zero at about knee level, which is right about where the chair starts. So you're really not getting exposed to any radiation. But I checked our car a while back. We had a Toyota 4Runner that we sold. Thank God, that thing was a gas guzzler, man. That thing, we would fill up. We'd put $20 in every couple of days. It was just eating up so much gas. It was crazy, and I don't like supporting that. So in any event, we had a 4Runner, and as soon as you turn the engine on, that thing was peaked. The tri-field meter was peaked all the way to the right. It was unbelievable. I mean, you look at that and think, no wonder why people are getting so tired when they're driving, right? People driving long distances or even driving at all an hour to and from work every day. They're just exhausted, and it makes sense. And so, that was with a non-electric car, and I'm sure the Prius is even worse. So we're exposed to all of these radiation fields every single day, everywhere from our cell phones, TVs, laptops, computers, all that stuff. And then, people will squabble about a little bit of, magnetic field radiation coming off a sauna. And actually a Vitamix has quite a bit of radiation around it too. But, I use a Vitamix every single day. It's how I think really what it comes down to is how you live the rest of your life. Because there's no real way of getting around the EMF radiation, in my opinion. I mean, you have to go out into the middle of the forest or, in the middle of the woods somewhere. There's just no way around it. It's how you protect yourself. It's how you think. It's how you live. Are you exposed to blue light at night? Are you doing all the other things? And I don't think a little bit of EMF radiation is going to be the deciding factor. But in any event, the lie down sauna is the one that we have in our store that we'll put a link to on this page, episode 521 with Marcus. And so that's available too. So if you want to get the lie down sauna, ours is a sit up one, but if you want to get the lie down sauna, and to be honest, Marcus's is a little more intense. He's got a lot. It's kind of, the way I look at it is that his sauna would be more for someone who is looking to do a more intense treatment. because they have really, really big things going on with their health, like a real health challenge that they might be dealing with. Cause he doesn't recommend using it any more than once a week because it's so intense. So, and the treatments are like 4 hours long, and you have to insert not that we're averse to this being Extreme Health Radio since we do coffee enemas and things, but you have to insert a plug. He calls it a butt plug, but it's, what is it? It's like a temperature thing into your rectum, to make sure that you're, not overheating and all that. And so, it's a 4-hour treatment, and it's pretty intense, as you just witnessed if you listen to the show. And so to me, I would personally rather have something less intense, on an ongoing basis. I love doing the relaxed sauna. I sit in there every single day. I only do it for like 35 minutes, or 45 minutes in the winter, fall and the winter. I'll get up to about 45 minutes in the spring. And then in the summer, I can usually last maybe 25 minutes or 20 minutes. I try to get at least 20 minutes when it's hot. But if I can go for 30, I do 30. And if you average out the year, I probably sit in there about 30 minutes a day. And, I much prefer the daily detox, the small dose detox, rather than doing intense cleanses or intense this or that or the other. I'd rather take care of myself every single day in small ways, so I don't have to. It's like if your house is dirty, you let your house get super, super dirty, and then you have to spend 5 hours cleaning it. I'd rather just clean a little bit each day and never have to spend a 5-hour window on a Saturday cleaning my house. And so that's the kind of two different ways I look at these different saunas. But it all depends on what you're interested in. Make sure too, when you do a sauna treatment, to remineralize after you're done. We have a great product in our store, which I think is the #1 mineral supplement product in the world. It's a liquid supplement, so that means it's easily and highly digestible and absorbable, and it's food based, and it has over 416 nutrients in it, vitamins and minerals and herbs. It's called Intramax, and it's wrapped in a fulvic acid, so so your body thinks it's food, and so it uptakes right into the cell. And Dr. Massey was telling me the other day that it has an incredible ability to pull out toxins and heavy metals, as well as give 416 nutrients to the body. And it's awesome. And so it's available in our store on Amazon if you guys want to check it out. But it's important. Do a green juice, do a green powder. We have the Organifi green powder in our store. But just, you don't have to do that. Just get a green juice or something and get some minerals into your body after you do a sauna, because it's really important to do that. Sometimes I will drink. There's a bunch of different sauna protocols too, but there's the minerals you can take before. You can take Dr. What is his name? Dr. Yu, or let me think about it. Dr. I forget. Charles? No, not Charles Yu. I forget what his name is. But he's got a niacin protocol, and you can do that too, where you take high doses of niacin, you jump on the rebounder, then you get in the sauna. A lot of people do high dose vitamin C, high dose glutathione, liposomal, both those things, and then jump in the sauna and sweat out black material and all kinds of crazy stuff. So saunas are a really big part of my life. I'd encourage you, just do a little research. If you want to get either of these two saunas, in my opinion, I think they're the best. There's all kinds of great saunas out there. If you buy through our link and do all that, it supports our work. So we appreciate that. But, I think the most important thing is, if you can't afford a sauna, just sweat some other way, do some exercise. With exercising and sweating, you're creating and building lactic acid, and that's an issue. So the idea behind it is passive sweating and passive detox. So you're not creating lactic acid, which prevents heavy metals from coming out through the skin. And so, it's not as good to exercise and sweat, because you are creating that lactic acid. And lactic acid also builds up in the bones and in the muscle, and it creates an acid overload in your body, which is challenging to get out. So lactic acid, you don't want to be building up too much of that. But if you do, it's important to flush the lactic acid out. And that's why I do the rebounder. A lot of times I'll work out, I'll do my workout in the backyard, with weights, heavy weights, do squats and deadlifts and stuff like that. But then what I'll do after that is I will do the rebounder. And I don't know if you guys ever have done this, but if you've jumped up and down, especially on the Bellicon, the ones that we sell, they're higher off the ground than most rebounders. So you can, go further down off the mat. And so the mat is really, it's like a trampoline. It feels so soft and you don't even have to try to get air off of it. It just pushes you up like a trampoline. But the feeling, the endorphins and the flushing of the lactic acid on a rebounder after you work out is just awesome. It's amazing. And so what I do, if I can set up my day like this, if it works out, is I'll do my workout, I'll do my rebounder session, maybe I'll do a chi machine session, which also helps to flush lactic acid out of the body and cleanse the lymphatic system. And then I'll do my sweat. But you know, you can do whatever you like and whatever feels comfortable to you. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that show. As you probably know, we haven't done that many shows lately because we've been working on the Academy. And the Academy is something, man, I did not know how much effort and work this is going to take. But if this is your first time hearing this and you don't know anything about the Academy is an awesome place. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it. We're going to have so much information in there. Monthly courses. I think what we're going to do too is seasonal cleanses. I think this is going to be really cool for people. Something that I want to do is, how do you take care of yourself and do a cleanse, with the change of the season? And can we do that in a group? And can we do that all being overseen by a doctor and, kind of ask questions? And so we're going to round up some doctors, to take care of each season, like 4 different doctors. They'll be responsible for a cleanse a year. And so this is all stuff that we're working on behind the scenes. We've also got a forum in there where you can, communicate with other people, share your success stories and encourage other people. Ask them questions. We're going to have a place in there for all of our courses. We're going to have a place where you can ask the doctors questions. So let's say you ask a question about, if you're a member, you ask a question about heart disease. And then someone else asks a question about, I don't know, what's another health condition, cancer or, headaches or something. So we'll put all those questions individually so you can listen to the full show on that, like an hour-long show answering all these questions. Or you can just we've alphabetized everything. So you can go to the H section and listen to the one on headaches, or go to the C and listen to the one on cancer, or go, all the different letters of the alphabet. You can go and find your condition and listen to everything we have about that. So it's going to be really cool. We're going to have short-form content, long-form content, all kinds of cool stuff. I'm really excited about it. This is actually something that I'm kind of doing for a personal reason, almost like for selfish gains a little bit, because I want to have like a resource for me to be able to, like, for example, here's something Kate and I were talking about the other day, blood testing. And we asked our newsletter subscribers, if you're on our newsletter, you probably saw this, of questions for the Academy. Like, what do you guys want to see us create, and what kind of features and programs do you want in there? And if you want to chime in and answer some of those questions, we'd love to have you help, because we want to create something that you want, right? I don't want to create something that nobody wants, but, I'll put a link to the listener survey on this page, extremehealthradio.com/521, along with the links to the all the products we mentioned on this page, or in this episode. But something Kate and I were talking about the other day was blood testing. Like, how about we create something like this, where let's say you're a 35-year-old man. If you're a man between ages 30 and 35, or you're a woman between ages 40 and 50, or you're a man between the ages 20 and 30, what blood tests should you get? What should your numbers be? What do you need to look out for? And then maybe you add a couple things on there, like if you have specific conditions that you're dealing with, right? So like, let's say you're a man between 30 and 40, and you should get these blood tests, kind of on average, and these are what your numbers should be. And then let's say you were dealing with, I don't know, some low energy or something like that. You want to do some other testing. You can add that on, and then we'll give you links to where you can go find those blood tests and, make it super simple. That way between the ages of 30 and 40, you can get yearly blood tests and see where your markers are at, see where your vitamin C levels are at, see where your heavy metal toxicity is at, see where your, colon is at, and see where all your levels are at, so that you can kind of get a gauge on the program that you're doing. And you can say, you know what, this paleo diet I'm doing is not working, or this raw food vegan diet's not working, but this ketogenic diet seems to work great because all my numbers are better this year than they were last year, and I've been doing keto for the last year. So, this is going to be a cool place where we're going to offer all this stuff, and it's so much information that, it's, we're going to have to add to it over time. And that's why it's going to be a monthly program, a monthly charge, for all members. And so, I'm just really excited because this is something that I want to do for me. I want, solutions. I want answers, and I want easily findable answers and searchable answers. And I want to be able to overcome, if something happens in our household, or, someone, like a while back, I got stung in the eye by a bee while walking our dog. And it would have been nice to just be able to log into the thing and look under bee stings and see, oh, this person did this for bee stings and it works great. And then I go to my medicine cabinet and I have it. Stuff like that. So we're really excited about the Academy. It's a long process to get this thing going. So you probably realize that there's less shows right now. So we do apologize for that, but it's something that we have to do. So I think what we're going to do, I have a hair on my tongue. I think what we're going to do is we are going to do 2 shows a week until the Academy starts. And it should, right now we're looking at a target date of mid-August. Excuse me. Gotta get this thing off my tongue. How weird. I was just kissing our dog, so maybe that was it. But yeah, so we're going to launch probably mid-August for this. And so if you want to get on the early bird waiting list and be one of our early adopters to the program, there's going to be a significant discount. As I mentioned, it's going to be a monthly charge, but there's going to be a huge discount for anyone who gets in early and becomes an early adopter to our program when we open the doors in August of 2017. So if that's you and you want to be at least notified of it so you can learn more about it and see if it's right for you, go to our page here, extremehealthradiocomp18529, and I'll put a link to the membership site Academy that we're building. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that and get all the links to everything we talked about here. Also, something else that we're going to do too, Kate and I, it's related to the Academy, but it's free for everyone. It's not a paid thing like the Academy, but it's something really big. I'm really excited about it. It's something that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be doing with you guys. So we'll be reaching out to you, and you'll hear about it very soon. I'm super excited because it's something that I think is going to improve all of our lives and make us better people, make us healthier and happier and have more energy. And it's just going to be an awesome thing. So I'm really pumped about what we're doing here too. So as you can imagine, there's so much going on behind the scenes. And like I said, that's the reason why there's not a lot of shows lately. So man, it's been a lot. It's been a lot going on, but thank you guys for your support. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. And thanks for buying through our Amazon link too. Your support through Amazon and Patreon has been so big. Thank you guys so much. For those that you don't know, Amazon is a great way to support the show. If you go to our website, on the right-hand side, there's a link for Amazon. You'll see it's like a banner, kind of a graphic button thing. But below that, there's some text that says, click and drag me to your desktop. And if you drag that text on your desktop, it'll create an icon. And if you can just remember to use that icon, you don't even have to go to our website anymore before going to Amazon. But just double click on that icon. It'll open up a new tab browser for you through our affiliate link, and that'll help support the show. So that way you can shop through Amazon. Every time you shop, just go through that icon on your desktop, and that'll help support our work. So thank you guys for that. We really appreciate that. And thank you guys for your support on Patreon too. Patreon is a way to donate to our show on a monthly basis, and it's a way to give $1 or $2 a month. And man, if you guys can do that, if you've been a long time listener to the show and never done anything like that, I would encourage you and ask you if you would do that. It takes literally, especially if you're logged into Facebook, it takes about 30 seconds, 45 seconds to set up a Patreon account and donate $1 a month or something like that. And the more of you guys that do that, the more we're able to do the show and pay people, get a staff here so that we can do more shows. If we had a staff of people, we could actually do a lot more shows. It's the production of the shows that really kind of is challenging. So So if you guys want to do that, we would greatly appreciate that. And let's see, is there anything else to talk about? Is there anything else going on? Lots of other stuff going on. We need to do a Free for All Friday show because there's been so much going on that we need to talk about. So we'll do that pretty soon so that you guys can check that out. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for your Amazon purchases. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. Thanks for emails. Thanks for sharing our show, following us on Facebook. You guys are just awesome. So I'm just so appreciative. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate you guys a lot. It's just an honor to do this work for you guys. And for me too, it's something that I grow from and something that I'm really interested in as well. So, I just love you guys so much, and, let us know if we can ever help you. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Oh, by the way, this was episode 521. So if you want to catch any of the links, that we talked about, extremehealthradio.com/521.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any information in this blog or to start any health program without first consulting a health professional. The content found here is for informational purposes only and is in no way intended as medical advice, as a substitute for medical counseling, or as a treatment/cure for any disease or health condition, and nor should it be continued as such. Always work with a qualified healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet, prescription drug use, lifestyle, or exercise activities. This information is provided as is, and the reader/viewer assumes all risks from the use, non-use, or misuse of this information.